All right, so our next speaker we're going to have is the Senior Manager of PPC Training at Microsoft, Purna Virji. She's a Senior Bing Ads PPC Training Manager at Microsoft, columnist for Search Engine Land and Search Engine Watch, speaker at conferences such as MozCon SMX, State of Search, passionate about voice search, SEM, SEA, SEO, and evangelizing Bing Ads. Avid traveler, speaks 6 languages. It's very impressive. And Purna has over a decade of digital marketing experience, both in-house and agency. She lives, breathes, and dreams SEO, PPC, voice search, and content marketing. Even though she works for Bing Ads, she's on our organic day. Please bring your hands together for Purna Virji.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Awesome. What's that? Super. I'm super as well. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about a topic that I'm super passionate about. It's voice search. And I'll tell you a 60-second story about why I got really passionate about it. Back in January of this year, I'd gone to India for a cousin's wedding. And halfway through my trip, I was crossing the street. And if any of you have ever seen the news at all, like Indian traffic is a nightmare. I was hit by a motorcycle that was speeding, went out of control. So I went flying, I fell on my hands, and I had a concussion, and I broke both my wrists. So long story short, I couldn't do anything with it. I couldn't hold a remote control for the TV, I couldn't hold a book. I was bored, I was cranky, I was childlike. And my husband was like, I'm not changing the channel for you 100 times a minute anymore, like, done. So then I realized that my best friends could be Alexa, Siri, Cortana, and all of these guys. So I ended up talking to them a whole bunch because there was nothing else I could do. And that's where my whole fascination for voice search started. So I'm going to walk you through some of the things that I found out, by stalking / nagging / begging for favors from our data scientist team. And it works, like really expert nagger. If anybody needs help nagging anyone, call me, I'm your woman. We'll go do that. So, all right. But as I was coming here, like I realized like all the most insanely intelligent people in this entire universe live in Salt Lake City. So I'm like, oh my gosh, no pressure, right? But then I said, let me see how many people exactly is there. There's got to be studies. So that was like one thing I found, like, oh great, Utah has like all the SEOs in the world. I'm like, what about PPC? Yeah, all the great PPCs as well. Like, there's something here in Utah. I've got to figure this out. So then I'm like, maybe I need to go swim in the lake. But I'm like, not that practical today, so maybe I'll drink all the water. So I've been drinking lots of water here. Like, maybe I should do more. It's like, I should go like stalk all of you guys and like beg for hugs, and maybe it'll rub off. But then I was like, no, I'll get this reputation of being some stalker, pervy person from Bing, and they'll be like, don't let Bing come to the events. I'm like, no, I can't do that to my employer. Love my Microsoft. I can just come here to your event and join SLCSEM. So I think that's the better option. Okay. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, as you guys know, Matt already introduced me. We're going to talk about why the fuss, like why should we even be talking or thinking about voice search? Then I'll talk you through what you actually can do about it right now. And then we'll look at our crystal balls and then take a peek at what the future could be. So let's get started. I'm going to ask you guys a little question. How many of you are currently using a digital personal assistant today, like on a semi-regular basis? A lot of you, but not all. Yeah, that's very indicative of the market. We're finding a lot of new users are coming on, right? It's not like we're going to take away the existing pie. It's going to, with younger people, newer people, will be using it. How are we using it? Let me take a look. We wanted to see how people are using it that's helped it grow. Google had done this research a while ago through this company called Thrive Analytics. So this was at the end of 2014. And they pointed out that most people tend to use voice search if they're at home or on the go or like relaxing. They don't tend to use it at work, which makes sense. But 2014, that may as well be like prehistoric times for voice search because things change so quickly, right? I went and I looked at our data at Bing to see how are we using it. And we found that there's 3 main options. The first one, we're on the go, we want a quick answer. I'm running around like, hey, how late is Home Depot open till today? Or where is that Home Depot? I can't find it. Or Siri, I'm lost, can you take me home? It's you're on the go, you want a quick answer. The other one is if you're otherwise occupied, right? Any other Scandal fans in the room? Yes. So sad, right? It's not coming back till next year. It's like tragedy. It's like how inconvenient. The actress decided to have a baby. It's like, mm-mm. I'm only kidding, I'm only kidding. Anyway, so if I'm watching TV, so I'm watching Scandal, I'm really engrossed, but I'm second screening during the commercials. And I may want to find something I might like, something in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, that's a good, I want to look for kitchen remodel ideas. During the commercial break, I'll second screen and do something there. But the biggest growth is when you can't type. The number one area that we see, and also I've heard from some of my friends at Google, so they see this as the biggest growth area, it's when you're driving, right? How many of you will tend to use like a voice command when you're driving? So many of you, right? We all do it, it's convenient. Or if I'm cooking, I'm gonna talk to Alexa and I'll say, hey, how many cups of sugar did I need? So that's when we're using it. By the way, Google also had a research for when people use it. I thought this was a very interesting stat. 22% of people in the bathroom. So anyway, that could also fall under otherwise occupied. But let's go and see how else it's growing. Do you guys read Mary Meeker's Internet Trends? Yeah, super nice. When they come out, it's fascinating. I'm like obsessed with it. We'll read it every year. And she's also predicting that it's going to grow like crazy. So she interviews all the different companies, and she found from Google that they said that 20% of all the searches on Android mobile devices are coming from voice. Microsoft as well, we see Cortana being adopted at a really fast, speedy rate. It's growing. In fact, like you guys have seen the stat, right? By 2020, 50% of all the searches were gonna come from voice. What do you think? Possible, not possible? Yeah, really possible, right? I mean, just take a look at some of these new innovations right now. So Ford just announced that all of their 2017 models, not just the luxury ones, like any 2017 model is going to have this new voice control interface. So you can tell it to either search for directions, search for something on the web, or just control the car, like the volume, etc. TechRadar reported that there's over 100 million active Cortana users every month. In fact, we see over 350 million active Windows users every month, so I think it's probably higher. And there's all these big giants, right? Amazon wants to do this whole Star Trek home thing. Sounds kind of cool. And I saw something in Forbes today that said Aloft, those hotels chains, they're looking to create a voice-controlled hotel room. It's like, how lazy are we now? It's like, switch on the light, turn down the thermostat. We're just getting more comfortable. Why do you think we're getting more comfortable with using voice now? What do you guys think? It works, exactly. It's so much better now than it was. So I've lived in 4 countries. My accent's a mix of all of 4. And Siri wouldn't understand me at all. I'd be like, Siri, take me home. She's like, oh, you want to go to the mall? I'm like, well, always, but not now. Now I want to go home. Take me home. She would never understand me. But now it's so much better. We found that from a 25% error rate about 2.5 years ago, it's down to about less than 8% now. So that's helping there. Plus, there's new devices that you can only interact with voice. Think about it, right? Anybody has an Amazon Echo at home, like Alexa? Yeah, so okay, what would you do with it if you couldn't talk to it? Nothing, it would be really expensive paperweight. But I don't know, I'm not there yet to drop $200 on a paperweight. Not that I think I ever would, it would be shameful. But you're like, okay, Purna, like why? Why are you even talking about voice here? It's like so futuristic, 2020, it's like 2016. I saw this and it sort of shocked me a little bit, in a good way. I was traveling on the road and I had forgot my makeup bag somewhere, so tragedy. And so I went on Cortana on my desktop and I was like, hey Cortana, where can I buy Bobbi Brown makeup? She spelled Bobby wrong, but look what happens. What do you notice there on the SERPs? Yeah, there's ads. I'm like, hang on a second. Nobody's monetizing voice search, but there's ads showing up. So it could be that my voice queries are going to trigger SERP and ads and people clicking on your ads. So that's something we should pay attention. Then I said, let me look at it, Cortana, on the mobile app. She won't show it on the mobile app, and I found out that that's a deliberate decision now. But then I looked at Google, and I said, oh, okay, Google, if I'm doing searches, your PPC ads show up all the time. And I know it's the SEO day, but still, like, it's showing ads, it's showing different queries. There's still some things we should do. So let's talk today. I'm going to talk about Siri, Cortana, and Google Now. I won't talk about Alexa and the Echo, only because she's a completely different interface. It's only audio. Here, there's a visual component as well. Great. So of course, you know, we own Cortana, and Bing also powers Siri and Alexa. So I went to bug our data scientists, and I said, hey, can you give me a list of all our top queries? And they pretty reluctantly were like, yes, okay. And I found out this whole list of all our queries. The number one query, like the top decile, was who's Bill Gates? Do you guys know why? Okay, so if you ask Cortana the question today, like, Cortana, who's your father? She'd be like, hey, it's Bill Gates, technically speaking. So they ask Cortana, like, who is Bill Gates? Because they think she'll respond and be like, he's my daddy, or something silly. But Cortana doesn't play that way. She means business. She'll say that, hey, this is who Bill Gates is, and she'll give you all his bio. But did you notice in the second decile of questions, did you guys read the last two? Yeah. So immediately I go to my husband and I'm like, are you one of these people to be like, who is my wife? And there we go, divorce, divorce. And he's like, no. God. He's like, he's so confused, and he's like, you're crazy. And like, that's okay, but we've established that. I married you, so. No, so I went and asked the engineers. I'm like, hang on, like, why are people asking these questions? It's not as nefarious as we may think. What it really is that you guys have an iPhone, you have Siri, you can train her to say that this contact, this is my sister. So if you say, Siri, call my sister, she'll call the number. Have you guys done that? Yeah, so there we go. You're trying to see, or you can say, Siri, take me home, and she'll know where you live. So this is just, people were trying to check, does Cortana know these sort of address and correlations? So not as scary as we thought. So now you guys are like, okay, we're in a nice story, but what do I need to do about it now? Let's talk action. I got you guys, no worries. I've got 5 different tips for you. Step 1 is we need to rethink our keywords a little bit. And this is SEO and PPC advice. So what we know that voice search tends to be longer than text, right? Is this a surprise to anyone? No. Right? When we talk, we use natural language. It's easier to talk than it is to type, so we know that they tend to be a little bit longer. Not that much. They peak at about 4 words. We also know that they tend to be more question-based, right? If you think natural language, we found that they tend to fall into one of 2 types of question queries. The first one is more of a command question, like, Siri, can you do this? Or the second one is more like, how many cups of sugar do I need in chocolate chip cookies? So those are the 2 types of questions. You see the difference? No. So I'm like, all right, what else am I noticing? Here's something else that surprised me a little bit. Like, I hadn't thought of it, really. I looked at one of our clients. They're a trash disposal company, and I was looking at some of their top question sort of phrases that come up. And just notice it, it's very verb-heavy. Like, how do I get rid of? How do I dispose of TV sets? I looked at some of their shorter text keywords, and it was TV set disposal. Do you notice how it's like active to passive language? It's changed when you use the natural language. From TV set disposal, it becomes, how do I dispose of? So that was like, that's something to be mindful of, right? That's another change with natural language that we need to pay attention to. It's like, okay, what do I do? Well, first ones, if you've got some of shorter keywords, try to see if you can optimize even for the slightly longer phrases, because those are more likely to come up in search. Or else take it a step further and maybe look at putting in question keywords, which such as, how much does it cost to fly to the Bahamas, or what's the best Bahamas vacation package? Like, use the filler words as well, like what is the best, etc. That's how we tend to talk when we talk naturally. Now, the question people ask me is like, how do I find ideas for questions? There's a really cool tool called answerthepublic.com. Have you guys seen it? Yeah, it's so awesome, right, AJ? All you do is you type in a word, and then it will spit out a bunch of questions. So now I am like nerdily obsessed with Pokemon Go, so sorry. I caught a lot of really good Pokemons while in Salt Lake City too, so thank you guys. So sad. So I went and I typed in the word Pokemon, And these were all the different questions that could come up for it. So you see it's showing me the who, what, when, where, how, why, all the different prepositions. I guess it is a preposition, right? What percentages? So that's a handy tool, and it's totally free, and it goes in and gives you that data. The next thing, of course, schema all the things, but you guys, again, are ridiculously smart. You do this already. So just in case, it helps you make the case for your clients in case they are resistant to putting it on. Now, how many of you are doing marketing for like a local company, or like local geo-targeting is really important for you guys? A lot of you, right? Yeah. Voice search is great for this. Let me just walk you through a short example. I looked at a travel company recently, and I looked at some of their searches and how they differed between, this is their PC and tablet searches, and then I'll show you their PC versus mobile. So if we looked at it, PC and tablet tended to have very similar types of queries. It was all like more like planning-based and research-based queries beforehand, like this airline, the price, things to go there. Then I looked at how did it compare PC versus mobile. And that was kind of really interesting too. It went from, remember, research-based to now more action-based in the city itself. So it's like now it's like the local, now that they're in that place and they're looking for something to do there. So now I'm in LA, I want to know what good restaurant to go to in LA or what else I should do there. So slight different changes in behavior. Not very surprising because that's how we all use our mobile. But that's changing too. Mobile voice search tends to have 3 times more local intent than a text search on mobile devices. Isn't that kind of like huge? That's a really big stat. So now, like, how can I take advantage of this, Purna? Great. Well, one thing, think about your keywords again. Think of how you're talking to your friend. Now, if you had to type in the address or try to put this as a keyword, you'd probably just be like Jordan Commons. But if you were explaining to somebody, it'd be like, it's across from that stadium or whatever you would call it. You'd talk to it, you'd give it something more descriptive. So maybe you'd want to say, like, this is my plumber that's near Temple Square. This is something this shop is right by Liberty Park or close to the Leonardo. You would give it this kind of information in a way that you would talk to your friends. Do you see that? Like, try to think of it that way in your keywords too. Of course, your citations, everybody's totally up to speed on that, but they matter a lot more here. So make sure we found with mobile that they don't tend to actually go to the website. They're really just looking through it to refer to the phone number or click on the directions or something like that. So this is even more important because 76% of people who go to the SERP listing will click on either the location extension or a way to find the company. It's a pretty big stat. So if you have PPC friends, tell them make sure you're putting in the location extensions too. Helps a lot in the ads. Make sense? Awesome. The next thing is intent. All right, let me ask you guys this question. This is, I think, my favorite thing about voice search and why I love it so passionately. Let me ask you this question. I did this search. What am I looking to do? Am I looking to buy it? Am I looking for photos? Am I looking to sell it or reviews? What do you think? Are you sure, 100%? Exactly, we guess, right? That's what we do with these like shorter queries. We just guess. I'm not sure, she likes it, I'll show my ads. But now if I did a voice search, it's gonna be like, I need a women's sun hats made of canvas in size large. I need changed everything, right? Now we know for sure that I want it. I put in more specifics in this search. I said I want it made of canvas and I want it in size large. Now that made it even more higher purchase intent. By the way, while doing this, I discovered something odd with Siri. See what she did? She stripped off the extra words. She stripped off I need, and she just went and stripped it down to the core keywords itself. It's not very helpful. Like, I want the whole query. I don't want it stripped down. I want to see exactly what people are typing. But anyway, if you do Cortana, she'll bring you to the SERP page, and she'll bring in the full query. So now you can serve a much more relevant ad, and you know it's going to do well. So essentially, the type of question indicates the purchase intent. Let me ask you this question. Tell me which one you think has more purchase intent. Where is the nearest Audi showroom? What's Audi's latest car model? Where is exactly? So now we can tailor that. So let's see what we can do. Let's do this fun little exercise together. If I'm a vacation rental website and I have these 4 question keywords in my list, like what do you think? Do I want to pay more attention to where can I find Bahamas vacation info? More, less, or no? More, right? Okay, so what about the next one? What's the best Bahamas vacation package? Yeah, that's a really good one, right? High intent. What about who lives in the Bahamas? Yeah, no, we don't care about it. Get lost. So, but nicely, gently, sweetly. Uh, what about where is the best time to travel to the Bahamas? Yes, maybe it just should just go in its own little ad group on the side, maybe such lower bids, etc. You see, we can look at these different keywords, and now we know the intent, and we can do more with them. Doesn't it make more sense to have it? I love it. I get super geekily, nerdly excited about it. The fourth thing we can do is rethink branding. Do you guys know what this brand is? Yves Saint Laurent. Can I ask you guys to do something for me? Do you all have your phones with you? Okay, can you take out your phone and go to the digital personal assistant of your choice, Siri, Google, Cortana, anything you want. Tell me when you have it up. You have it up? Awesome. Okay, can you do this one query for me? And you can all do it at the same time. Can you ask it to say, show me Yves Saint Laurent bags? Yves Saint Laurent bags. Okay, how many of you got the correct result the first time? A few of you will. But how many of you had to redo it? Quite a lot of you, and that's something that we have to think about too when we think about voice. Because look at this, we had some of our Microsofties do this, and it became quite hilarious to the point where it's show me you send the wrong bags. Listen, go to French school. But now we might think that, okay, Yves Saint Laurent, frou French, of course they're difficult, but that's not just the case. It's not just Yves Saint Laurent or something like that. If you just do a quick search on the internet, on Bing, of course, you will find, nice little plug, right? Did it smooth? Went in there. No one noticed it? You will go and find all these articles online about brand names that we mispronounce very commonly, right? Nutella, Nutella, Mazda, Porsche, everybody says it wrong. So shoot, I've got to be thinking about this as well. There's so many brand names that we mispronounce. But it's not just we mispronounce it. Do you think that there's a fair number of people whose first language is not English that live in this country? Yeah, for sure, right? I had a friend who's Dutch, and W in Dutch is V, apparently. So he was telling me, he did this quick search, and he was trying to look for a BMW showroom, but in his hurry, he was BMV showroom. And of course, Cortana was I don't find anything with BMV. Because of course, there's no such thing as BMV. It's BMW. But there is a smaller percentage of people that look for this. And I'm wow, we all knew about misspellings, right? That was so one-on-one. Are we going to have to care about mispronunciations? That's something that's going to be really interesting to think about until the machine algorithms get smart enough to figure out the relevance and tie it all back, pretty much like it did with the misspellings. So for the moment, if you can research some of these misspellings and mispronunciations, think about if you should bid on these keywords or promote them at all. Again, if you're doing it for PPC, for my PPC friends in the room, make sure you're using enough relevant negative keywords. And finally, rethink actions. So I did the search the other day. If I'm saying I'm hungry, and I just did that search on my desktop, notice the results. There's Pinterest, there's a quiz for what type of food I should eat for personality, there's just some images, etc., right? What do you think if I did the search on Siri, what would she show me? Restaurants, exactly. So again, I did this search, and of course she was very smart. She's oh, I understand eating is a cure for that. Siri's pretty snarky sometimes. So I'm okay, she gave me a list of all the restaurants that were closest to me. Notice how she pulled them in from Yelp. So if you're thinking Yelp is forget about it, Siri will look at that, or some of the people will look at it. Actions are so different there. So we want to think about what we are doing. We talked citations earlier. These quick answers are exactly what we see people clicking on in the results. They're not really going to the website as often. We just want our quick answer, what's that phone number for, or what are the hours for Home Depot, and that's it, we'll be done. If you have reviews in there that aren't that good, you may want to look at addressing them to see, because this is what's going to show up when people are looking to take action. And if I'm in a hurry, I probably will not choose a restaurant that has 2 stars. The other thing you can think of is if there's any retailers in the room. Any retailers in the room? Only a couple, but anyway. Think shopping ads or product listing ads. They're really great because they're super visual. So remember, I'm second screening, I'm in a hurry, I'm not paying as much attention. If I see something very specific to my query and it's easier to look than it is to like read, I can click on them easily too. Plus, they tend to get more specific. So what do you guys think? It's all pretty doable, like these 5 steps? Yeah, it's super doable. Well, much more durable than that handstand or whatever. Never is going to happen for me, but the good thing is that there's no fire underneath us, right? Nobody's monetizing it. It's still about like 20 to 30% of users still using it, so it's significant-ish, but still not too expensive or too concerning. So the good thing to do now would be to sort of try to adopt it now and test it out. Because again, we've seen in tech, early adopters always have the advantage. Where do you start? I would say go to your Google Search Console or Bing Webmaster Tools, look at the list of queries that people tend to be clicking on for you, go and bother your PPC friends and say, dude, can you give me your search query reports for the last month? And try to go in and identify anything that stands out obviously as voice. Now, there's no separate analytics for voice search at the moment. Makes sense, nobody's monetizing it yet. So why would anybody be invested in giving you separate analytics for it? But there are some ways you can tell 100% if it's voice search. Obviously, if it has Hey Siri or OK Google, that's very clearly a voice indication, and it will show up in your search query reports. But also, if you're seeing these like really longer question keywords, these other ones that could mean that they're voice, if there's more natural language, take a look at them, see what's coming up, and then go and identify whatever is like the most high-value product and just test out a couple of your big questions. Like, don't have to spend a lot of time with it. Even if you spent an hour a week for the next 2 or 3 weeks, you'd still get a good lead over your competition. Doable, guys? You think you can go and do that? Awesome. The next thing we should do is let's put on our crazy hats so we can look into the future a little bit. What do we think voice search is going to bring, or what else is going to happen with it there? Well, let me ask you, do you guys remember the first time you got your iPhone, like before when you moved from like a non-smartphone to like an iPhone? Do you guys remember that time? Did it feel weird to be swiping? Yeah, a little bit. The first time you got it, you're like, this is new, this is different. But now we want to swipe everything. Right now, I just want to swipe even that big movie screen, but obviously it's not going to work. Or let me ask you this question. Before you guys got your cameras and your cell phones, how many times in a year did you take photos? Not a lot, right? For the most part. I mean, of course, avid photographers, definitely. But for the rest of us sort of people, we would use maybe birthdays, holidays, vacation, and not that often. But what are we seeing now that they've come into the cell phones, apart from like 8 gazillion pictures of food on the internet? But like people are dying from taking selfies, right? Because this is the fad we've started. It's terrible. Feels so bad for the human race. All these prove is that we're so trainable, right? We've already adopted to new technology. What we've done is try to learn machine language and try to work with the computers. Now they're learning us, and it's going the other way. So it's going to be super interesting to see. Plus, there's new technology, right? We can talk to our phones, and then you can feel very much like James Bond and like some secret agent and talk to your phone. Very unlike Bluetooth. Do you remember? If you had Bluetooth, people would be like, oh, what a jerk. He's talking to himself while walking. Did you? Yeah. But somehow with the watch, it feels very cool. So that's a good thing. You can also talk to your car. We've had OnStar, but also we saw earlier like Ford is coming out, or you can connect your smartphone to your car and talk to it. Internet of Things, right? Ryan, we had a big discussion about it yesterday and today a little bit. It is just getting smarter, right? People are just going on and on to make everything smart, right? We had the, Amazon made the smart speaker with Echo. The fridge, I think we're going to reach this point where the fridge is going to be like, hey, Cortana, we're out of milk. Cortana will be like, I got it. Purna's going to go to Trader Joe's on Saturday. I'll just make her buy some milk. It'll be great. They'll all talk to it. Because think about it. What does our phone know about us? Do you think our phone knows more about us than our significant other? And think about it. It knows where we are. It knows how we're traveling. It knows the weather, the time of day, but also knows our preferences, right? For example, like I'm vegetarian, I don't eat meat or fish. So if I'm looking around, I'm like, Siri, I'm really hungry. I'm like walking around New York City, for example, will be like, hey, Purna, you might really like this restaurant. It's got a couple of veggie options on the menu. It'll start selecting that kind of thing for us, right? Self-select things down. It's also going to be much, much more convenient, right? How many of us were okay giving away some public information because it's so convenient? Have you given your digital personal assistant your address? Yes, because then we just wanted to tell us alerts like, Purna, you need to leave for work now because traffic's building up. We love this stuff. It's able to be predictive and give us this information. What's also cool is that these bots, like talking about voice and conversation, it's going to be silent to us, but these bots are going to be talking to each other. I want to show you a very short, quick little video to show you just what's happening with the bots and them talking to each other. So Dustin, I'm going to switch to the video now.
Cortana, I want to dress like this. Can you help me find it? I like this one. Yes, please. Can I get it in a size 6? Cool. Cortana, please give them my payment and shipping info.
So cool, right? No? Is it terrifying to some people? Yeah. No, it's not that terrifying. Don't worry. But this is what we're looking at. We're looking at convenience. We're looking at conversation really as a new interface. I think the hottest job for next year is going to be like a conversation interface designer, because that's where the future is going. That's where technology is going. Like the landing page may sort of soon be left behind because you can just talk to it. It will connect to the other bot. Remember, it booked the trip, it booked the hotel, it bought the dress for us. Kind of nuts to think about, but that's where we're going. And I think it will be more ubiquitous. Of course, we're like a super savvy internet audience room, so. But there are new people coming on who will find this very convenient and will use it. So if you think about adapting, also think about messaging. Did you notice how she was even typing to there? Like, how many of you like talking on the phone now? Nobody, right? I hate it. I was like, I don't know how as a teenager I was spending hours on the phone. Like, I think messaging is growing so fast as well. Even like, why do you think Facebook bought WhatsApp? Right? There's so many users on it too that are maybe not using Facebook. And there's a company called WeChat that's in China, and companies already doing purchase patterns through it too. So like McDonald's, you can buy something just through text messaging. It's nuts. It's growing that fast. So that's also something that we're going to start seeing in the future, is what I'm predicting. So the time to adapt for voice search is now. Like, get started a little bit, see what's happening with you, and it should be quite encouraging. So finally, use your voice. If you have any more questions, like I'm super nerdy about voice, I'm happy to chat about it anytime. Just hit me up on Twitter and we can have like nerdy conversations all day long. Like, it would get me so happy and excited to do that. But otherwise, thank you guys so much. Thanks. Okay. We can do some Q&A. Are we doing Q&A? Oh.
There we go. Oh, there we go. Yeah, I was getting my massage. I was trying to beat the crowd.
Oh, that's a smart
But yes, we
move.
can do Q&A again. You know where they're at up there, and I'm down here. So go ahead and raise your hands.
I'm a little bit blinded.
I know the spotlight's pretty rough, isn't it?
I think we have a question.
Oh, right here. Okay.
I'm curious, when do Or do you know when we can start getting like, should I say, development kit to understand how to interface with, you know, our shopping cart, if you will, can interface with voice search?
I think it's a good place to start doing it now because both search engines will show shopping results on mobile devices as well. And you can be much more specific when you talk than you type. But as far as a developer's kit per se, I'm not sure. I think whoever looks at monetizing it first is going to probably come up with something then.
There is if you go to Microsoft.com/developer, there are little, if you go to Microsoft.com/developer, or Build, which was our developer conference, there are codes that you can start playing around with and build little bots. And you can already start developing for HoloLens, which is all based on machine learning, AI, and bots as well. So it's all there on the Microsoft site.
And I don't know if she said the HoloLens is going, I think it's upstairs in that virtual reality lab. They've got that going, so. Anybody else? Sorry,
We got
can't
one
see.
here off to your left, Purna.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I'm really nervous about doing this. So.
No, why? We're all friends here.
Yeah. Anyway, with voice and everything becoming so personally relevant, how does a global e-commerce company show up in their searches?
You would have to leverage voice and think about how people are using it, right? So if you're a restaurant, are you having good listings? Are you doing well on Yelp? Like, see what the digital personal assistants are pulling. Because something I think is going to happen is that the digital personal assistants are going to try to keep you in their universe, right? Think about Apple. We have an iPhone. We buy from iTunes. We use like Apple Pay. You just live within that universe, and that's what the personal assistants are going to want to do as well, keep you within that realm. So see what they're using, see what they're targeting. It's a lot fewer and a lot less options. So you want to start thinking about how to really optimize quite well so you can be the one that gets picked or selected all the time. So location is going to matter, relevance is going to matter quite a lot. Also think about conversing. What would people look for? Kayak signed a deal with Alexa, right? Where you can look for a flight, so it can say that, hey, I want to go to New York, and they're like, oh, when do you want to leave? What time? And you can find out all the data about cheap flights or best hotels or reviews. Go all the way up till purchase. So that'll be interesting to see how you want to interact with your audience.
All right, is there another one up here? Do I see? Yeah, right behind you.
You talked a lot about how, when, where, what words, and how those are relevant in voice search. I'm just curious how you would recommend optimizing those, say, for, you know, an international e-commerce website. Would you want to put that in the copy? I'm just imagining that in the copy and having it sound somewhat unprofessional, but I can't imagine any other way to optimize for it. So I'm curious what your thoughts are.
You want to start, maybe think of the question. Maybe is that an FAQ? Is that its own page? Or it's like, what kind of e-commerce company is it? Is it clothing, whatever? Help me give a better example.
Sure, yeah, clothing.
Clothing. Okay, so then what is, or you can say like, show me a Guess pink dress in size 12. And then you can just take it directly to the page, which is just that, because you can get that refined because of your product, either your product listing ads, or you would try to optimize for that word. You have the descriptions anyway on that page. This is the brand name. This is what it is, all that information. You would put it on anyway. Or people can ask, like, what is your return policy? So every company will have sort of different questions that they'll ask. If you're clothing, it would be more about what's the material, does it crumple, all of those regular FAQs that most likely you already have. So you want to try to think about your content marketing efforts and maybe pushing those up, the higher funnel type queries. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
I think we're almost out of time.
Okay, any other questions? Be great if you had one more.
One
Here we
more,
go.
yeah.
And that would be if you don't have locations. So there's no.
Sorry.
So if you don't have any locations, so there is no brick and mortar. You're just a global retailer.
Yeah.
How do you compete, like with paid search, against local listings?
That's a good question because it'll only show you up because they're looking for people's intent, right? If I'm looking for, I want to find the nearest retailer, then it's going to show me local listings. But if it's just not, if I'm like, show me pictures of whatever, blue shoes, it's going to show me pictures of shoes from anywhere. It's not necessarily going to optimize for a very local or specific item because it's not necessarily that you want it right near you. You may be fine shipping to your house. So you would still want to look at making sure that your ads show up or you have your descriptions and all like super well laid out on your landing page so that it's easy for it to capture it. If I'm looking for blue shoes, then you have a separate page for blue shoes, which most people would have. So it's not that much different from what we're doing, which is the beauty of voice.
Okay. Great. Thank you, everybody. Purna,
Thank you, guys.
thank you so much.